Welcome back to the Eye of Jupiter Live. I'm your host, Tom Franklin, and this is our last Wednesday live scheduled episode. It might be a Wednesday one that pops in once in a while, guys. These have been moved to Friday at 6:45 Eastern Standard Time. And being the last episode, I couldn't think of anyone more to have on than Michael Kameron. Michael Kameron is the author of High Strange, A Lifetime. Let me make sure I get all the information here. High Strangeness. I'll even pop it up here. I think I already got the link here somewhere. Pam was already on it. Here it is. He is the author of his first book. I'm sure he has many lined up. High Strangeness, A Lifetime of Alien and Paranormal Encounters. I have him on today. I was supposed to have on Mark Savnik, but there was a miscommunication. When I said Central Time 6, he thought it was Central Time Europe. Because that's where he is, and things happen sometimes, so we won't be seeing him today, but we still got on Mr. Michael Kameron. So if you keep finding yourself thank you, Pam's already put it again at the bottom. Thank you, Pam. If you keep finding yourself coming back to the Eye of Jupiter podcast, please do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and as well, go ahead and leave a comment, leave a review. When you go over and download, you can go to Spreaker, you can go to all your downloading formats and go ahead and get as well. That would be greatly appreciated. Listen to it on the road. Maybe you can listen to it again and you enjoy it even that much better. Who knows? You can also find me on Rumble. I am at currently, I think, 48 or 58 followers over on Rumble. So you can find all this once again over there in case, we get too crazy over here for YouTube. If you enjoy content that I create, you can also decide to become a member. You can do that here on YouTube and you will get some extra stuff a little bit earlier than everybody else. So you get an extra episode a month, and I will also send you a personalized screen background. All right. With all that, one more thing. I also have shirts. Excuse me 1 second. I don't need to see it today. If you want some shirts or some stuff, there's a link in the description below. So everything out of the way, let's welcome to the show. I would like to say he's a friend of mine now. We do speak to each other on the regular. One and only Mr. Michael Kameron.
Hello, Tom. How are you doing?
Hi. I'm doing good, buddy. You look good today, man. You got a smile on your face. You seems to be an aura about you. You seem to be doing well.
Yeah. I'll try. I mean, I've had over the last 2 weeks. I've had severe PTSD attacks, but you work through them, don't you? Hi, Karen.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Hi, Karen. We have Sandra's here. We have
Hi,
we have
Sandra.
Jeanette Solinsky. Sandra, as
Hi,
always,
Jeanette.
is here. Sandra, I'll be seeing you tomorrow, Sandra. I will be recording an episode with Sandra tomorrow. She's been so kind as to come on. Hello, Jeanette, once again. Under Fire, hello. Hello, Under Fire. You wrote a very wonderful comment at the bottom of one of my episodes saying, I can't believe these don't get more views. We're working on it. It's a slow process. Hello, Chris. I'm sorry I can't write you because it doesn't show up over there on Facebook. Oh, so we were supposed to have Mark on today. We roll with the punches, man. I can always count on you to come on here, and I appreciate it so much. For anybody out there who by now doesn't know that Michael is a regular, he regularly graces me or graces us with his presence. And if people who don't know who you are, Michael, please introduce yourself one more time and tell them a little bit about yourself and anything you'd like to promote.
Yeah, hi, I'm Michael Cameron from the United Kingdom. I'm a first-time author of the book High Strangeness, A Lifetime of Alien and Paranormal Encounters. That's my first book. It is really a memoir about my childhood, really, growing up in a specific location. And I am writing a second book, and there will be obviously a third book and so forth, but I'm working on them at the moment. I describe myself as an alien abductee from childhood, from a very early age. I'm a breakaway MILAB military abductee, a veteran of the secret space program, currently still active, and a veteran of the futuristic soldier program, what other people call the super soldier program. I have complex PTSD as a result of many of my experiences, which many are fragmented still. And also I have DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, which means I have other personalities that come through, but these are what we speak about across the wider field of the SSP, about children and how children are chosen for these specific military projects hidden behind national security. So, and I got a lovely cat called Freya. So
You have your cat with you?
No, he's in the other
Did you
room.
say you have your cat with you? He's probably scratching at the door.
Yeah.
That's what he wants to get in there.
Yeah, but I'm not going to bring him in though. But but apart from that, I'm just a normal guy. A normal guy.
Yeah.
Just normal.
That is a crazy twist and turn. You go ahead and spell everything out for everybody about who you are, and it's for a lot of people who don't know about the Super Soldier program and Michael, he's gone through quite a bit, and we're going to go through some of that today, and we're going to make sure to put a positive spin on all this today. And it's just really funny that you put this juxtaposition into saying that and then say, oh, besides that, I'm just a normal guy, which is why I love you, dude. You just say the cool stuff.
But I am. I'm just a normal guy. Apart from that, everyone who knows.
So dude. We kind of went through the altars. Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll get the timing. Is that it? Just okay. Start over. Okay. We kind of went through the altars last time so that I would understand it. Yes, we everyone loves you over here, Michael.
Thank you, Pamela.
We kind of went through the altars, and the way I described it was like compartmentalizations within the mind that they can take a certain part of you and then put you somewhere and do what they want with you, and then you have like some type of fragmented memories of this, and sometimes full-blown memories of this. So this time I want to go into maybe how much you know about the how would you say the process and choosing who goes into the program and who doesn't, if you know anything about that.
Yeah, I mean the military look for specific children. I think in the United States, even today in 2025, and in the United Kingdom, hidden within the curriculum in schools, they choose and they test children for these very reasons, to see who has the potential to go into the projects and who doesn't. I mean, there are certain requirements for children that the children they choose will have to have. One of them is mostly they have to have pretty high high Q. They would have to be quite creative in their thinking. You know, it's not necessarily meaning if you're putting a puzzle together, you have to get that puzzle right. It might be they give you shapes and they ask you to form a picture of it. But it may, and they may give you a picture to look at, but they want you to think outside of the box. So rather than use your mind to copy it, to emulate, to copy that picture, they want you then to think something else, make your own shape. Or
is that the Rorschach test that we all went through? Like the Rorschach test, where it's like an ink blob, where like it's put together and they open it and they tell you what you see, something like this.
Yeah, they use all those, and they use the ESP tests for the symbols, you know, to test what's behind an image, you know, behind a blank, what looks like a blank canvas. But one of the most important parts of choosing these particular children, the child must be able to disassociate. They must be able to enter into the realms of the demonic, because demonic energies are used in the programming of the children.
Wow.
So these are basically demonic energies are called. Often they work in contracts with the military. They're called forth. You know, like in the old times when you had people that practice, you know, witchcraft or black magic, and they called forth certain, demonic energies from the darker type realms or the lower realms, and they used to come forward. Well, the military do this. You know, they do it in places like CERN. You know, they bring them forward. From these realms to participate in these particular projects with them. But unfortunately for the military are a little bit out of their depth, because although that the demonic energies do this, they're not really, then they do not have any agenda with the military as such. They don't care about their agendas. They've often said as well that if the military continue to mess around with them, they'll actually show them who and what they can really do. They just said that the deep state at the moment are playing with fire with them. They're participating at the moment with them, but they're not. The military think in some ways that they have them over a barrel. They don't have them over nothing. But you know, this is one area anyway where they choose the children, but the children are also, you know, we had what is called Project Talent, where they chose children. Again, they're looking for specific abilities. They're looking for things hidden within the DNA. They're looking at ancestry aspects of that soul that's coming in that child. But as I said before, you know, when we speak about ancestors, if they're saying about you, Tom, you have an ancestor that goes back. That ancestor is not somebody else. That ancestor is you that's now come forward into this life. So you're the same person that they're talking about, but they're just taking that part of you from the past and bringing it forward. So the children are chosen for, you know, they have to have a high IQ. They have to also be, you know, they have to be quite strong as well, because they want to survive the programs. So, you know, when you hear people saying, you know, you got to be
right. That's such an interesting thing. It makes me reflect back upon like GATE class. I've heard about that before, which is gifted and talented education. There would be like what they would so they would already like separate us out. I remember that too. Like there would be in a school, there would be a GATE class. So they would find the children who are more intelligent or more able to basically education when it comes to the state is that you can regurgitate the information that they give to you in a timely fashion. And once they give that to you, then you just kind of go ahead and blurt it out at a certain time. They go, okay, this person is them. That's the way I feel about the education system. They don't tell you, you know, how to think. They tell you what to think, and that's pretty much the whole thing. But I just find it interesting that they already compartmentalized us, you know, right out the gate with, you know, you're of this ethnic background, you're of this religion. So they always hit us in the head with that. But they also did this on the educational level. And I remember the gate class in particular, that they would be right next door to us, and they were, I mean, like it was like an open classroom, and you can hear them doing like completely different activities than what we were doing, and that always was such a weird thing. Before we get along too far, guys, we do have a special guest who jumped on with us. He was going to help me out in case my internet goes down. To you, Michael, that he can keep talking with Michael.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh. How are you doing, Mr. Cameron?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Just hanging out, catching the show from the backstage, you know, hanging.
That's what we like.
That's right. That's right.
You can hear everything in the backstage?
Huh? Yeah, I can hear everything back there. I'm following
You can hear everything in the backstage when you're back there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, cool.
That's what I said, man. It's all good.
I guess I haven't been on enough podcasts yet.
Yeah, and like you said, guys, I'm sorry.
Hey,
I'm
Jim,
not
do me a
trying to
favor real
interrupt the
quick.
flow. Yo.
No. It's a pleasure that you're here. Do me a favor real quick, man. Tell everybody about your show and what it is that you do over there, buddy.
Yeah. So obviously I am Jim. I am he who fishes for spam on the Fisher of Spam's The Night's Watch. And I'm on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, you know, places. But yeah, I'm here to basically make sure that if the internet dies over there in Mexico, that someone will be here to be able to carry on. So with all that out of the way, keep on going, fellas. I'm here.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Like, but if you have any questions or anything you want to add to it, don't be afraid to chime in, dude. I appreciate it.
Oh, do you know me? Come on, bro.
Yeah, I do know you. Yeah, we had a nice little conversation today, man. It was cool, man. I called you up and it was we talked for a half hour or so. And it wasn't even about this. This was kind of spare in the moment. You said you jump on if I needed any help, and I appreciate it, dude.
Oh yeah, I'm here to help my friends. Always.
All right, so okay, when we're talking about these demonic entities, like what can you add to that? Like where not specifically Jim, I'm talking to Michael. These demonic entities, they are in cahoots with the US military contractors, and they work hand in hand to do what exactly?
They use them in the programming process, especially, you know, like under Project Monarch. They normally, what they do is that they you know, inside, when we have the systems, inside the systems we have mirrors as such, and a lot of demonic energies are hidden behind the mirrors. The mirrors keep the altars within specific areas within this system so that they can't get out. And also sometimes the demonic energies are used to you know, to influence the altars in some ways. But there, I mean, there is a particular you know, he wouldn't describe himself as a demonic energy. You know, he a little bit of Stephen King's Pennywise.
Okay.
In that he is trapped he is supposedly trapped at the moment in a particular place, which is, you know, it's a bit like the biblical abyss, you know. So it's not on the physical earth. It's you know, like what they say, beneath the oceans, but it's not beneath the oceans. It's actually in a way like a parallel to the earth, interdimensional parallel to the physical earth, where this particular being resides. But he is, you know, he was actually put there for 1,000 years, and that 1,000 years is almost up. But this particular being is well known. This particular being is well known to the military. He doesn't describe himself as a demon. He describes himself as a god, because he's been around a long time. And
Jim, is this the little G? Is this the little G, like the little G gods, Jim? Is this what we're talking about? This is what Michael was referring to?
So yeah, in general, what this means, from the way I understand it, in the Bible, it talks a lot about Elohim, right? And the way to understand that is that it is both singular and plural, and that basically, when it's used in the plural, it is little g, and it's referring to a classification of angels that were known as the sons of God. They are the ones who, when Earth was, or mankind is a better way of putting it, was disinherited by God at the Tower of Babel with all that stuff that was going on there. He basically turned dominion over the world to the sons of God, also known as Beni Hai Elohim. And they were the ones that were supposed to take everything, teach everybody how to do things, and get back online. While Big G God was like, all right, so I'm going to go over here to Israel. I'm going to make my covenant here. And these guys are going to end up becoming a blessing for all the nations. And things went awry. And yeah. So that is essentially what's going on here, from
Okay.
what my understanding is. So he's spot on with everything. And
Okay.
demonic entities wanting to refer to themselves as gods, yes, spot on. Problem is little g.
All right. Thanks, Jim. So how is the military industrial complex getting in contact? This is to Michael. How are they getting in contact with this demonic being that's been trapped for 1,000 years? How are they doing that?
They're doing it by using old magic in many ways, like Solomon did when Solomon used to call up specific demonic type energies. He believed, he could control these. In the end, I believe they destroyed him because of his stupidity and his ignorance in thinking he can handle these type of energies when in fact he couldn't. Because even when you call these particular energies up, you should show them respect, because you're entering into their domain, regardless of who you are. Even the archangels show them respect, because in some ways
Wow.
they are the same. They're just different energies.
It's so interesting. You kind of hinted to kind of tie Jim into this a little bit more. You kind of hinted to that you said that you want to maybe talk about it, how you ran across me, or is that, or did I misunderstand that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so I was watching the show with where you had Jim on, and I think he was just, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but I think you were just going in then to doing your pod shows.
Yeah, I think let's see here. When I technically did the recording with Tom, I was just starting, and by the time it aired, I think I was on maybe episode 2 or 3. So
Yeah.
Sounds right. Yeah. It's when you had your long hair.
Lord knows I miss my long hair so bad.
We'll get it back. You ain't got to do nothing. It's not like a process of going to the gym or anything. You just have to exist. Unlike me, it'll never come back.
Don't worry, Jim. I'm the same. I used to have
We all have our blessings.
I used to have a ponytail and all that,
Yeah, you did. You did. So go ahead, Michael.
So I was watching the show, and I thought, this is an interesting show, but what also piqued my ear holes for the show. I mean, what I liked as well, I liked the way that you were, Tom. That's why I reached out to you as well, because I liked the way you presented. And I thought I'd got to contact you and speak to you. But when Jim was talking, and what I was interested in with Jim's conversation was his experience within the CE5.
I think we spoke over Messenger, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, with the CE5.
And you actually reached out. Yeah, you reached out to me and you were like, hey, I want to call you and talk to you. And I don't remember, it was quite a while ago now, but yeah, we just kind of went over, like who you are and who I am, which is really interesting. Like some, not all of them, but some of the best interviewers I've had want to talk to me beforehand. That happened with Chris Kramer and a couple others as well, who's come on the show, and they just wanted to know a little bit about myself. Michael Anthony as well. We actually spoke beforehand, and like I said, you reached out to me, and we hit it off pretty well. And yeah, it was a wonderful and a very productive call. And I'm so glad that you actually did it. And you've been on my show 4 times now, and it's been good.
Yeah, he's another veteran, isn't he, Michael Anthony? So.
Oh, he's a firecracker, man. That guy is. There's no holding back with him. He is very, very, very knowledgeable about a lot of different things. He leans a little bit towards the conspiratorial, which I am definitely got both feet in that world. Yeah, I'm hoping. I think I'm gonna reach out to him to see if I can have him back on again soon, because when he comes on, he always schools me on things I've never heard of before. Just like you, Michael. It's for me, it's just like a journey. Like the people over here on the chat, the people in the all over the internet are just asking hopefully I'm asking the questions that they want to hear. By the way, guys, if you have any questions for Mike, I'm sure he's always great with answering them, and you can go ahead and post them in the chat as well.
So I was saying about Jim, though, when he was talking about the CE5, I found that interesting, because I believe he's spot on. He's on the money, when he speaks about the CE5 and how dangerous it can be. When he was speaking about that, I thought, yeah, this guy, he's speaking about the right stuff. This is true, what he's saying. Because I've warned people in the United Kingdom who have groups for the CE5. And you often find those that go into the CE5 communities, not everyone, but a lot of them, more, especially in the UK, you find that they don't have many of these experiences. For them, it's something new. So they're going out there, and obviously they're using meditation and creating a higher energy, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything, even when you're creating that higher energy, when you're involved in this type of phenomena. Because it's, I often say to people, that if a ship lands, you often hear people say that they want to get on that ship. Well, you're not going to really be walking along a highway in the middle of the night and step into a car with somebody you don't know. And it's a bit similar to that. You're not going to really go on board a ship, because there's lots of dangers with that, especially in regards to, there are a lot of races coming here at the moment that are not so involved with the higher aspects of light and the frequency. They're interested more in what your DNA is. But with C5, I know somebody.
To even give it a more.
Sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a no. It's on my end. I'm receiving good megabytes per second. I'm over 60. But it's not sending out well. I got a couple things I got to fix in my browser. I think that might help. And there's a couple settings I can work on. It'll get better, guys. I'm still learning. I just got the cable yesterday to test it.
Hey.
I thought I could just plug and play. It didn't work as well as I thought. First of all, Magical Journeys here. What's up, buddy? Our buddy Daniel Cahoon at the Magical Journey podcast. Every Friday live. Go and check it out. He's a great guy. He's had Michael on before as well. He asked a lot of very good questions, and he is a dear friend of mine. I love you, buddy. To give a slightly separate analogy, but not the same. It's like when we say ship, guys, it's kind of like if you remember Independence Day, where they were like, on top of that building in LA. That see what happened to those people, and then to give it like a theatrical Hollywood twist on it. But at the same time, it's like being on a river or at a port in the city that you're on, and some foreign person who was able to get past the Coast Guard for some reason, just say that it didn't exist, just pulled up, and it was a weird ship. You've never seen anything like it before. And he's like, hey, you want to go for a ride? No one would get on that ship. Just don't do it, guys. Just I know it's exciting, and like the thing about the CE5 stuff, people, because I think the results are immediate for most people to go and do this. So that's an exciting thing. It's like, wow, there's something weird in the skies. Let's go back and actually listen to Jim's episode. You can see that it can get much worse than that. and
Yes,
we are
very
suggesting
much
that
true.
you do not do that. And yeah, oh yeah, I love you too, buddy. Yes, he said he loves me. Yeah, okay, we love each other. Okay, Denise says
You mind
hi,
if I make
Daniel.
a comment on that, Tom?
Oh, there was, yeah, please.
Okay. So what I'll say on like just the topic of that is in general, you know, whether you want to whatever you want to believe of their origins, you know, that's on you. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything in particular. But what I will say is no matter what the said entity that you are dealing with, you got to understand that no matter what, you're making, I guess for lack of a better word, a contract to let it interact with you. And you know,
Right.
no matter the origin of said entity, it can show up as whatever and treat you like whatever it wants to. I mean, you've given it access, so at that point, you know, it's on it to act however it wants to. You know, like I don't know about everybody else out there, but I mean, I don't go out of my way to interact with crackheads. So I mean, people be people, you know. So that's all I'm kind of saying there.
It's kind of like a Ouija board in the sky, guys. Kind of like that. I I know 100% that you do not do that. Don't ever, because they say there's something on the other side that you're inviting in, but you don't know what's over there. There's people who are experienced at it and whatever, but I would say no. I still would say no.
Good call.
Thanks, Jim. It's like interacting with crackheads. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah. I like that, Jim. He pipes in just with that bit, doesn't he? Good call. But I was saying though, with the CE5 though, and yeah, what Jim was saying is spot on, I believe, because I've often given this advice to people I know in the UK. I mean, I'm involved in these projects. I have this stuff, but I'm still not calling out to them. But I do know people. I know somebody. I won't say her name, but I know somebody in the UK who leads one of the largest groups in the UK, and she was doing this. She was within these groups. She was doing this, and I said to her that I don't believe you should do it because I think you'll find you're going to put yourself in danger. But she ignored me anyway. But then a few weeks later, she called me up and she said to me, "Oh my God, she said I should have taken your advice." And I said, "What's happened?" And she said to me while she was undergoing this, the meditative states and calling forth, that something turned up at her house, literally followed her back to her house, which was, it was an ET type energy, and it was basically terrorizing her. So it wasn't. So she's involved with the paranormal. So she's an investigator and so forth, and she's very much involved with ufology and so forth. But and this thing followed her back and was terrorizing her, like literally every night, and she couldn't get rid of it because, like Jim said, in a way, by doing this unknowingly to her, she's entered herself into what this being believes is a contract. So it's in a way, it's like saying, well, okay, you've invited me. Now I'm coming, I'm knocking on your door, but you're not letting me in. What's going on? So I mean, I don't know if she got rid of it or not, but I do know it terrorized her to the point where she's, I think she stopped the groups now, but it terrorized her to the point where she didn't want to do that no more. And I know 2 other people that have had experiences. I know one person as well in the United Kingdom who used the Dr. Greer's method to bring these ships into the sky and to interact with ET energies, and it does work, because I know someone who worked for. They had no prior knowledge of this stuff, and they thought, you know what, it's just one of those things, give it a go. Nothing ain't gonna happen. But for him, it actually happened literally a few nights after doing this Dr. Greer test. It's basically sending out frequencies that he actually created. It works. But but if anyone uses it, just be careful, because you're, like Jim said, in some ways you're playing with fire.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's not good to hold the match whilst it's still burning to the end. So he had a huge. I mean, he does talk about this. He talks about what happened. But he had a huge encounter. He had an encounter with a huge black triangular craft.
Okay.
Him and his friend, and this happened at work. So this big ship appeared over his workplace. I think it was like in an industrial area in the United Kingdom, and it literally terrified him. But he didn't stop there. It went on. These beings started to terrorize him. And he started to see them everywhere and had encounters, I think, with MIB, and so it's not always a good idea to have, to do these things, because at the end of the day, even if a ship lands, you don't necessarily know who's on board that ship, what their intentions are towards you, because it doesn't even matter with ufology. If you send out positive energies, it doesn't matter, because a lot of ships will come to you anyway, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to find those ships don't occupy anyone that's going to have your interests at heart.
Right.
And also another thing is that you got ships flying around that belong to the military. Again,
Yes.
not all, and until you are able to identify what ship belongs to who, whether it's ET with their different shapes and their what they can do, is being able to then identify between the two, who is the ET, who are the positives, who are the negatives, who are the military.
And they're working in cahoots as well with each other, so you don't know what they're planning while you're inviting this in. So we have a question from Under Fire 987. Thank you so much for your support. I have a question for your guest. What you are in spirit? Do you think your body has to genetically match with your spirit, or just a part of it? There are some serious implications if that is true. I'm going to read that again to myself. Think your body genetically matches. Oh, that your body matches with your spirit, or is it just a part of it? In other words, do they fit together? And the implications of your body and your spirit being on the same, I guess you would say, like the same, like they're connected better if they're not just separated. I don't know exactly what you're asking. Michael, maybe you got a stab at it?
I think you're, if you're saying if your spirit needs to match your body, I don't think it necessarily has to do that, because we can, the Greys tend to call our bodies, our physical bodies, containers, because that means that our spirit can move from one container to another. So this is one of the things that we are able to do as well. So even if you're,
you've heard them say this.
This is what they told the military, basically, that our bodies are containers. They told this to a lot of abductees as well, because the Greys, they don't necessarily die. They move from body to body. Their own bodies, I mean, but we as spirits,
like we can move.
We as spirits, we can move into different bodies as well. We have the ability to do this. This is what they're saying about human beings' bodies. They're containers. Other entities can occupy that same space, regardless of what form they are. Because at the end of the day, it's a body, isn't it?
Even if they're uninvited, right? Even if they're uninvited, even if they're uninvited, they can join. They can come into that space.
I mean, sometimes even when you're outside of the body.
I don't know what I've never asked you what you ascribe to spiritually, or what your religious. I think I said you were raised Catholic, but I don't know if you're still practicing that. If you have this empty vessel, or not the empty vessel, if you have this vessel of your body, and these things can enter. What type of protection would you say you use, or that you can use?
Is that to
Did you
Jim?
hear me, Michael?
No, can you say
No,
that
that's to
again?
you. What I'm asking is, if this, no worries, if this is a vessel and spirits can then, or these entities can then enter into our vessel, what type of protection would you use to fix that, or to protect yourself?
Probably to grab them by the scruff of the neck and chuck them out.
That's always a good call.
Good call. Scruff of the neck.
This
All
is
right.
my body. This is my body, dude. Get out of it. Get
My
your own
body, my
cloth.
choice.
Yeah, get your own cloth. Get your own cloth. Get your own
No free rent here, guys.
But I was going to
Yeah,
say
but
that
they yes, please.
I was going to say that when you leave your body and you're outside of your body for a little while, you often get spirits that are attracted to that body, even though you're still connected, so to speak, with your, silver or gold cord. There will be spirits around that will try to jump into your body while you sleep.
While you sleep. Outside. Oh, that's because of the consciousness level in which you're at. That's interesting too. Yeah. So if you're doing like astral projecting or something like that, that could be very dangerous.
Very well, it's not dangerous as such, because you can, it's a normal process that we can all do. But what I'm saying is, and sometimes spirits will try to jump into your body, but they're not necessarily bad ones. Sometimes they're just playful ones.
So I'm not going to be able to go to sleep tonight. Did you really got me over here worried about? I always thought, because if you scientifically, they'll say like the mind is then like downloading things from the day, and which is true sometimes. There is times where I'm thinking about something before I go to bed, and that will kind of play itself out in my dreams. I've had that before, but then there's ones that make absolutely just no sense. I was contacted in my dreams twice by my grandmother, who passed within a month or two of her, and it happened twice where she told me that I can't think of the word she said. It was was it repent? I think it was repentance. I think that was one of the words she used. It was very powerful. I knew it was her, and everything was very cartoonish and like pastel. And then there was another one where I asked her if she was okay when she was cooking something on the stove, which made no sense because I wasn't actively thinking about it, but maybe subconsciously I was. But I don't know. There's science misses so much when it comes to what we are. They always leave out spirit, and it's just I think it's just an interesting concept or an idea to explore. And I think it's cool that you're like bringing that up. Like, where did you get this information from? Or it's just something that you know through your super soldier program experiences, knowing that it can take one of your alters and then like completely like take part of your personality and put it there, or that they told you, or something you've learned in your training?
It's from my own experiences from being outside of the body. As I said, a lot of my ET abductions took place outside of the body. And so when you're going through these processes, you come to understand certain things. It's a bit like riding a bike, I guess.
Okay. All right. So I know you've been an ET experiencer. I don't know if we don't have to talk about things that we've been talking about, but like, could you maybe go into like maybe one of the typical encounters that you've had?
With the ETs, you mean?
Yes, sir.
Or something else?
No, the ETs in particular, like where they how is the process happening? Like, I think we went through this before, but maybe there's some things I didn't ask at the time that I would like to go back through again.
I mean, it's quite strange because when I was having these experiences, and I was trying to understand what they were, and especially around the 1980s, and I was having lots of things where I was outside of the body, and I was actually being chased by what would be, I guess, like flying saucers, but these were outside of the body, so they wasn't astral. They were just in the immediate environment, and they were actually in the environment of the school grounds of which I spoke about in my book, because the experiences in my book were mostly focused within my childhood home, which was a schoolhouse located in this in the school grounds of this Roman Catholic school. And I had lots of experiences in this particular location. And, there was one time when I come outside of my body, and I remember moving up out of the body. And I could see the room. It's dark, it's in the nighttime, it's dark. And I remember going up, and I was looking, you open your eyes and you can see the ceiling, the room,
Yes.
of the room. And you think, what's going on here, and then you're looking down and you can see yourself sleeping in the bed. And so anyway,
So when you look down, do you like turn your head and look down, or is it like just that you can just see it?
No, I turned.
Okay.
So and I turned. So, and this is a time when I was sort of trying to understand more about what was going on with me. And then I realized I was going through the roof. Then I was going through my astral body, I guess, was going through the roof, and I come out at the top of the roof of what would be, where the bedroom was. And I remember looking across what would be one of the school buildings, and just above the school building was this huge, like flying saucer. It was just there, but it was obviously in a multi-dimensional level. It wasn't physical. It was on the same dimension as what I was outside of the body. So its energy was resonating with my own. But it seemed to be waiting for me. It already knew. And I don't know if it was involved with moving me outside of my body, or if I just come out of the body myself. But it was there anyway, waiting. And I remember flying into this ship, and then it moving off. And then I remember then coming back out of this ship at some point, and then flying back to the same way that I come, through the roof and then into my body. And so, I wrote about this. That's just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have.
Now, can I ask you some questions about that? Like,
Yeah.
like when you're being abducted, is it part of like? So you're saying it's not physical. Is that a normal occurrence that people are experiencing this as a non-physical type deal, or is it something more along the lines of what you're talking about on average?
I would say it's both. There's both, but I would say that there's a lot more alien abductions that take place outside of the body than that is actually realized, than they are in the physical body. I think a lot of the physical ones actually happen with the military rather than the ETs.
Right.
And
I was brought to the attention of that and normally the military ones just seem to be even more negative or more often negative than the ET ones, from what I've been told, that they're much more psychologically painful.
Yeah, I mean, you got different types of programming as well within the SSP, especially in the Monarch program. The programming is very, very horrific, but then you got like, when you're going into like, I mean, you got two types. Like you got this satanic ritual abuse, and that's bad enough as it is. But within the SSP, in order to create program the children for these projects, they undergo something which is satanic ritual abuse within the SSP, and it's actually 10 times worse than this one. So because they have to get the programming correct to create these splits, so that the children or the splits of that child are able to be programmed in the way that they would like them to be. Because you've got 5 types of programmers that are allocated to each child within the Monarch type projects. They concentrate on the physical, the emotional, on the psychological, or sexual, and on the spiritual, which is, you know, all to do with black magic with a CK, rather than the childish C. You know, you put that's how you were able to determine what is, you know, authentic magic regards to what I call childish magic, which is delusional magic, you know, like sleight of hand and so.
So you went through Montauk's. They take. There's 5 people or 5.
For the,
I guess
yeah,
I'm going to say people at the time. Yes,
they're programmers.
Right,
And they allocate,
do
they
a
allocate.
multitude of children or just one? Like,
No,
are they allocated to just one child or multitude? And what they're trying to do is call some psychological, physical, some type of something where you have a break from reality, in which they can then use that for satanic purposes.
The satanic, the satanic rituals and the calling for certain demonic energies is part of these programs. They come hand in hand. But you know, often the military believe that they are the ones controlling the demonic energies. They're not. The demonic energies have a bigger, wider foot in that door because they know more than the military do. The military, when I call the military, within the SSP and the deep state, and the ones that have created all these projects that involve children, you know, they're you know, to the point where they're so arrogant that they think they can control these particular beings. They're not going to control them, and they don't control them. And this is one of the biggest, you know, themes running through these darker realms, that these military do not control us. You know, and one of the things that they often say is, you know, when every time somebody calls forth one of these entities, they're pushing holes in the fabric of space, so to speak, which allows them to have a bigger doorway to get through to this one. So they thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Very interesting.
I know. Yeah, go ahead, Jim, please.
Yeah, so spot on, first of all. What I would say is like the goal from what I understand about all this is basically when they're subjecting all this, for lack of a better word, torture to these individuals, what is trying to be accomplished is to break them so much that they are just willingly just like, take me out. I'm done. Surrender all free will so that the soul does not necessarily die, but it exits the body freely. That way, the body can then be taken control of whatever it wants to take control of, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it's this is one of the reasons why the soul of the child, you know, it has to be strong. In the early days with the MK Ultra, a lot of those involved in the programming, they died. It doesn't mean they were weak. It just means that they wasn't able to withstand a lot of the programs and that they put them through. But in the earlier days, they were taking adults more than children.
Okay.
But they, you know, because they're much more sophisticated now, and with technology, the methodologies and the programming is a lot different. It's not as horrific as it was in
It's
those
more
other
refined.
times. Yeah, because they, you know, in a way, it's like they're training soldiers in a way, but they don't want to hurt the soldiers as such. They do to control them, but not to point where they're, you know, they're destroying them, because there's a lot of money.
Sandra wrote only until the age of 7.
Yeah, that's right.
What does that mean exactly? Until the age of 7, like they're more suggestible.
No,
until the age of 7,
stronger.
something happens.
They're stronger
After 7.
Between the age of 7 and 8, the programming has to be achieved before the child reaches the age of 7 and 8, because the ego and the will of the child is locked into place. It's harder to control that child after that time.
Oh my God, dude!
So the child has to be broken early on. Usually, the child will be broken at the age of 3 or 4 years old. They will enter a lot of a lot of those that are on these programs, they entered the secret space program and the future and the super soldier programs aged 3 and 4 years old. They're broken. The first stage of breaking is it's horrific. That's the first stage. That's the worst part. And as the child goes on and the alters go on, I mean, it's still bad, but it's not as bad in a way as the first break. So it's but
Yeah,
also you have, but
yeah,
it goes but it also goes on as well. We have programming in the womb as well. They have somebody present
okay.
that's speaking to the child. The child will hear the voice, what would then become later on its programmer or an handler to that. So it's already associated with that voice. So they would have somebody get close to that baby and speak to it whilst it's in the womb, or and when it is born, there will be somebody around it. Once they want something, they'll take it and they'll get it. As they say to us, even as adults, they told me, recently, you're a slave. You belong to us. We paid for you. You belong to us, and we're going to control you for life. And they said, so many of the assets here, the adults that were, as I say, the children. When you leave the earth, you won't be going where you want to go. We're going to recycle you back into these projects, and they can do that. That's why it's imperative and important that many of us that are on these projects here now are able to break free from them, so they don't have that ability. At the moment, if you're on these projects, and it's very difficult to get off of these projects, because, like, in a way, like Fisher said, there's a contract there. And these contracts are actually upheld. They're, from my understanding, they're upheld, or they're honored even in the higher realms. Once you're on them, and we have to honor that as well. It's a contract. Although
Okay, so
they try
so
they try to justify the contracts.
I'm sorry.
We voluntarily went on them, and signed them. Well, not really, because we were sodding children, so we didn't voluntarily sign them. If anything, what they got is they got our alters to sign them, saying to them, you know what, you're doing this for the benefit of humankind. And they, so you got the sugar coating and thinking. So the alters are thinking. Sometimes the alters are thinking they're doing a good thing, and in actual fact, they're not. What they're doing is they're being used by these fucking psychopaths to to do their dirty work, because they, like we were saying before, Tom, when we're talking about control, why they want to control us, because we have something they don't. For one thing, with a lot of these other ETs, we have a soul. They don't have that. What do you think, Jim?
I think you're spot on,
and
man.
Sandra even wrote here, some children even sign up for, they say here that some children sign up just for a piece of chocolate. That's crazy, which makes sense. So like they treat us like a dog. Like if the dog does what you want it to do, you give it a treat. That's so insane. Go ahead, Jim.
Much worse than that. Yeah. No, I'm just listening. I got to a point where I could stop and actually sit down and contribute more. So carry on.
Bob. Hi, Bob.
Oh, we get to see the moneymaker. That's fantastic. Hi, Barbara. Barb Hartman, everybody. Wonderful, wonderful person who's had some interesting Bigfoot encounters on her property in Washington.
Hi, Barb.
Yeah. So these government agencies, these programs are in cahoots with hospitals as well as elementary schools. Is that what you're telling me?
I think if we had disclosure on the scale that we need it to be, I think people will be shocked at the number of professional organizations that are involved all over the world with these projects. They're all in cahoots with one another with these projects, in order to get older children, in order to use them. I was even told, for myself, that when I was younger, I actually was I had a lot of things wrong with me as a child, and I've discovered that one of the reasons that was is because they needed to have access to me.
Mm.
And in order to have access, they make it look like a genuine cause for your health. So whilst they're doing whatever they need to do, where it looks, if you're going to an hospital setting and it looks genuine, they're actually not. They're going there to involve your programming.
Mm.
You got places where you can go where you've got you may have autism, you may have something like that. But some of these places where they go, they're programming centers. The truth will come out at some point because there's so much information out there. It's just not mainstream enough for the public to see it. We can speak about this openly and we can talk about it and we can try to understand more of it and work together to do that. But with the general population that don't know anything or think we're all weirdos, welcome to the club. But this is where the disclosure needs to happen.
That's my life story. I put that in a sometimes the parents are also contacted and know and are willing freely to offer their children up because of say financial gain or some type of threats.
Prison.
Does this happen as well?
Yes.
It's a big, but the thing is, right, they got the military always look, they look at the bigger picture. They look at many, many ways of achieving their objectives.
Mm-hmm.
And like Jim's, agreeing to as well, is he knows is that they will choose that. One of the things as well, what they look for is, families with generational abuse. So if they have a child and what makes it more interesting for them is when the parent of that child within their own bloodline is abusing that child is already disassociated, it's already broken. So now they're able to take that child. So what they will do with those parents is, listen, we're going to offer you a contract. Well, you got a choice. You can either work with us or we'll throw you in prison and we'll take your child anyway. So what they often do is that they will take those parents, or one of them, or two of them, or even a whole family of them, and they will teach them how to keep that child in line, and how to break that child even more, so that they can control it and use it. And they will often offer that family something, normally money. Or give them the choice. We take it, or take the money, or you go to prison. One or the other. Eventually, it becomes after the contract is signed, it becomes the property of the United States military intelligence community. But I'm not even going to say the normal alphabetical agencies. We're talking outside of those agencies even. Because a lot of these projects obviously happen away.
Yeah, the ones that we don't know about.
Yeah, they happen away from Congress. They don't want Congress to know about anything like that because a lot of the time, they may try to stop it or bring it to light. Or but sometimes we do know that there's people within Congress that won't step in or do anything because, of course, they're offered something in return for looking the other way.
Right. Also, I would say that Sandra here has a really good point, is that some of the families are just generally involved in it.
Yeah,
like a lot of the literature that I look at when I look at 20 and backs and such, like a lot of these families, they have a history or a bloodline or whatever of the elite, and it goes back for generations, which is why we say, the elites are such scumbags, and then yet they all control the world, right? So those families that we see that have occurred and popped up over and over and over are also involved in this. And if they have multiple kids, they're probably going to have one that's going to be like, I'm going to teach you the business side of things. That way you handle it. You over there, you're the throwaway. Guess what you get to do? And all of a sudden, that's their sacrifice to the program, to the said entities. And that they, like the head of that family, then reaps in the power by giving their child as a sacrifice to go through all of this.
Sure. I mean, everything you said there, Jim, is spot on, and Sandra. again, it's another way
All right.
of creating these assets.
Mhm.
I mean, one of the other things that they do is whenever you see, I think it was there was a project where NASA was calling for civilians to go into space, to go to Mars, and you had I think there was I think they had at the time 143,000 or something altogether over 4 different countries, nations. And they're advertising them. We're looking for people to go into space, particularly into what would be new colonies that we want to build on Mars. But this is all nonsense, because again, what these unfortunate souls don't know is that they've entered into a contract that they're not going to be able to get out of. I mean, this was a one way mission for them. So they were told, whilst they're signing the contracts, you may not come back because you may die, because we might not make it there. We've already got colonies on Mars. This is where a lot of the super soldiers train before they go off and do other things on the 2020 packs. So what they're doing is that they're looking for, they're looking for other people to go into these colonies. But once they go there, you had people with PhDs, and there were biophysicists and so forth, and they wanted a different life. And obviously they color code it. They make it look good. You're going to have this really great life off world on a different planet, and you're going to be doing things what the average person is not going to do. And the fact that you've already applied for this makes you different to the other people that you're leaving behind. Obviously some of them won't have families, which is again handy for them. But what they do is, when they get there, you're going to be in a militarized zone, and you're going to be literally a slave and under the rule of the elite, the state, the deep state. But why would NASA, for instance, as an example, why would NASA go out looking for somebody who, for one thing, doesn't have military experience? They don't have, a lot of them didn't have the intellect that was
Right.
required to go into the space program, the NASA, space program. So you've got astronauts, and you've got people in line from the military that want to go into become astronauts. So why are they choosing people outside of those programs in order to go into space? That don't make sense unless there's another agenda going on. And we know there's another agenda going on. We know that they're taking these people, and they're bringing them to these colonies, to be used.
Really
But these are
doesn't make
again,
sense.
these are not children, but these are adults. They have nothing to do with these programs that I've been on. It's just another program for them. But we have, this is something else that will hopefully come out in time, is that we have a base, and have had a base on Mars for a long, long time. I mean, the ETs were there before us. We just went there and colonized it. And one of the things that you do on the 2020 pack for the Mars Defense Force is protect the colonists, because you got on Mars, you have a race of beings that have been on there like a long time, and now humans have come along in a military capacity, and they've taken over their turf, and they want it back. So there's an ongoing war going on between the human element and the Martian element, and a lot of the super soldiers go there to protect the interests of these corporations, what we call ICC, and they're rich enterprises that are taking their contracts all over the galaxy. It's literally everywhere. It's not just on Earth. It's not on the Moon. It's not on Mars. It's reaching out into other areas of space that a lot of scientists here don't even have a clue exist. And again, with disclosure,
Yeah.
it would push open that door for people, the general public, to understand that we know a lot more than what you've been told. We're stuck in the.
Other
we're
than
stuck
your
in,
Michael, other than yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm still having issues over here. Other than your fantastic book, High Strangers: A Lifetime of Paranormal and UFO Abductions, or UFO Abduction, it's one of the two. Where can people go and inform themselves about these specific things that you're talking about today? Where can people go? And whether it be a book or a website or someone else they could talk to, where can they go to inform themselves and be able to protect their family?
you need to just go, really. I mean, one of the areas is, I mean, I belong to the SSP community, but if you need to look at anything like that, you need to look at things to do with targeted individuals and the technology that's used against these particular individuals. I mean, these are adults that have been targeted by highly developed, sophisticated, advanced technologies that are hidden behind, again, security of, military programs. And you can, look under anyone involved within the super soldier program. There's a lot of people out there that have been involved in these projects as children, and this is what they're doing. They're trying to push open, Pandora's box, and to have their, to gain justice, really. I mean, I'm still an asset on these projects as an adult now. I still belong to a highly classified project now. It's being reactivated, shall we say. There is a bidding war going on for this particular project that I was involved with in 1973 and 1978. And now the project was closed in 1985, and now it's being reactivated in 2024, going into 2025 now. There are various agencies that are bidding for this particular project, and there was only one asset within this project, that was me, and I'm part of that project. So whenever what we discovered is that they whenever there's a project, the projects can be sold to different types of organizations, secret societies, or military intelligence agencies for the highest bid. So we didn't know that before, but we know that now. That's another part of the information that we discovered, all of us in the SSP. And as they told me, that I come with that particular project. And because
wow! So it's starting to ramp up. It's starting to ramp up for you more again. Like, these things are happening again. And how do you know it's happening? Are you recalling memories, or are you conscious of it happening in the moment, or how is that like playing out for you?
I get contacted by the people that have created that project. So routinely being attacked and basically told what they want, what they expect of me. Because the first project, I destroyed their first project. I done something that broke that project. Should we say, I was, my record said I was subordinate. I wouldn't take their orders, and that wasn't the project that I was in.
Oh wow!
The project that I was in, that I'm still in now, it wasn't. It didn't involve alters. It involved me as this person here. No alters were involved, because the alters have to obey all the time. You can't say no as an alter. You're terminated if you say no. But
I think I
me,
finally understand alter now. It finally rang with me. It finally hit me on the nail on the head. When I think of altar, I'm thinking of like a place where people put up candles, and you know what I mean, like an altar.
Yeah,
You're saying
like,
altar as in like a specific part of your personality. Like, they can take your to tie it to an emotion, I guess, maybe to take an inquisitive part of you, or an angry part of you, or a part of you that would do something against your will that you wouldn't want, and they can control that. Is that what am I getting even close with this?
yeah, you're getting close to it. But what they're doing is like that they're actually, you know, when they do what they do to the child. So what was done to me, it would create an alternate part of me. So from my consciousness, so that consciousness would then take this body and take that. If it was a beating, it would take that beating. But when the alters go into the background, they still carry that trauma as well.
Yep.
And they can call upon any of these to carry out specific types of work that they want you to carry out. Another thing is they don't get paid either. Yeah, there's no pay, there's no rewards. What we have here as well, in the 2020 back as well, you have, like anything else, you have those above others. So you have officers, you have commanders, and it's often the commanders that get the perks. But they only get the perks if they're able to carry out missions successfully. So there's a ranking system as well in all of this.
It's like basically, okay, we're on a specific mission, and I need personality B to be in control here. Put them in charge, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's like anything. There's a structure to everything, isn't there? You know, it follows the same suit as what you would with, I guess, the generalized term for the military. You know, we'd say like the 2020 back is piggybacked off of the 20 in the UK for the military. You know, you do 20 years as a full term. I think you said it's 8 years, didn't you, Tom? Here in the US, I mean, 8 years.
Yes.
But you can do more than that, can you not?
You can go as I don't know what the record is, but the retiring age is 20 years active service. But you can stay in longer. You can stay in longer if you're still willing. I think if you're still able to do the physical requirements involved, then you can remain longer if you choose to.
So there seems to be some sort of theme running through the, just the generalized view of what the military is here, as opposed to what it is out there with the SSP and the super soldiers. So that they're using this, this theme of the 2020 back. So you're doing 20 years service, and then 20 in for life. But I do know there are some that go in longer than that, like you said. It's a little bit different though, because if you're a soldier, if you're a soldier there and you get blown apart, you can be
to make an analogy. I guess to make an analogy is that, like, if there's a specific mission, say the U.S. military wants to undertake. So if it's a land-based, what's the word? Like what's the word? I can't think of the word. If it's an actual physical war, and if it's a land-based war, they're gonna put in the army. They're gonna put in the army, and in that army, say for example, if you want to knock out signal, then you would put in jammers. If it's a mechanized situation, cover a lot of ground, they'll put in armor battalion or armor regiment. And if they want to say if it's like close hand-to-hand combat, they want to put like your level 11 Bravos, which are your grunts. And if they need all that to be supported, they'll use someone like me, which was a signal guy. So basically, it's like to achieve an objective, what they do is they take certain personality types of certain people and put them in said body or put into said job to achieve a mission. Is that a good analogy?
Yeah.
Whatever the mission dictates, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's starting to make a little more sense to me, because like it's such a foreign concept to me. We were contacted by a certain individual who's not to be named anymore, at least on a couple of our shows, a couple of my friends' shows, and he was bringing us so many things. Whether it's true or not, that's to be determined. We know who we're talking about, and he would say things like this too, but he could have just read it as well. So to get to this, it was a rough road to get over. You understand, Michael? Like to get someone genuine like you on here to break things down for someone who is daft like me when it comes to these subjects. My questions may seem, I don't know, maybe not intelligible, but it takes a while to ingest it and to understand it for someone who hasn't experienced it or knows anything about it. So Jim's actually been very instrumental in this like the way he said it made me understand it better. It's just it's a lot for the normal person to take in, and I think the way in which you do it is spectacular. You're very kind, you're very sweet, you're very knowledgeable, and I do appreciate the way in which you say things. And I think even a small show like this, I hope that maybe one day when this stuff comes back, they'll go back and see that you were instrumental in the uncovering of this.
Yeah, thank you. But I think you do a really good job as well, Tom, because one of the things I like about you, I like the way you break it down, you split it apart, you reason it out, and you're very analytical. I like that in somebody, and that's the best way to.
I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a lot to chew on, to be fair.
I mean, it is. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a very complex subject. It's a very difficult subject. I mean, when we get into, when you're speaking about time traveling and things like that, that's even more complicated. And again, with the 2020 and how they can take you and bring you back at the exact time that they've taken you, like you've not been gone at all. This is how they do it.
Right. And hold on, before you finish that statement, 2020 means 20 and back.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Yeah. Just for clarification for the audience. Carry on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, thanks, Jim. Thanks for saying that.
You need to would just for the audience.
Well, I didn't want to say names.
Yeah, I know it was. That's my middle name, Thomas Audience Franklin. All right, guys, let's go ahead and try. Okay, this is a every time, Michael. I could literally talk to you once a month or once every other week to you, probably for years, teasing this apart. But to put a spin on this, to try to make it fit into the idea that I had initially for the show, Mark couldn't make it because of scheduling reasons, or a misunderstanding actually on both behalves. He's not at fault, or either am I. It just happens sometimes. What kind of positivity can we take with us moving forward? How do we, other than saying what we're saying, doing what we're doing right now, what can we do positively to make a change so that this doesn't happen to children, to adults, to us? What can we do positively to make a change?
It's a difficult question to answer with anything that can be, what you're looking for, positive, because whilst these programs exist, it's difficult to actually stop. It's difficult to stop them from doing, from taking children at the moment. I think the only positive thing that we can do, I guess, is to keep talking, is to keep discussing this and pushing this information into the public domain. I mean, here again, as I've said before, we discuss this, and we have these, we have your podcast, Tom, and like Daniel's and yours, Jim, and Fisher Spam, and
that works.
Thank you. and getting it out into the open. I mean, we here, we understand about these subjects. We may not necessarily understand it like we're talking about it now, but we're learning about it. But we need to go. This is one of the things. What I was going to say is, in the SSP community at the moment, what I don't agree with at the moment is what I call the bravado aspects of it. I've got alters, and they're being involved in 2020, and I've not discussed none of these yet, really, on any show about my alters, what they do on these missions, and like Mark was talking about something he'd been involved in, and then you're talking about, like the laser weapons. That's all very well, but that doesn't help what we're trying to do with disclosure, because all that's doing is it's sugarcoating it, and it's basically saying that the super soldier program and the SSP is positive. It's not positive. I've spoken to a lot of SSP over the last couple of weeks, and they don't agree with that statement. It's not positive to them. It's a program they've been involved with, which involves lots of trauma, lots of abuse, lots of things that most people in the public couldn't even identify in their own heads, even in their wildest imaginations, that these children undergo. I'm sorry, but it's not a positive experience. But a lot of those in the SSP at the moment, they talk about these missions. Okay, we've been to Mars and we've done this and we've done that. That's okay. But again, it's in a way it's creating. It's almost like you're watching Star Trek, and it's like a film, and it's amazing. Okay, you got this amazing technology, and we use this amazing technology. But what I try to do is I try to avoid that, because what we're trying to look at through the disclosure is that these projects are not good. They're not good. They're not to be buttered up in any way, shape, or form, because it gives the people that don't understand
what it basically is.
The wrong idea to what
Yeah, it's basically. Well, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, Michael. What it is, it is the taking of your free will, and that is unacceptable. You know what I mean? If it was like out in the open, and you say and you choose of your own volition, when you know everything about it, after listening to Michael, after reading his book, and you say at your own free, your own volition, I want to go through this and I want to do that. This is eine Familie. Yeah, we are one family. I read German on the side. It messed me up. That they take away your free will, and regardless of whatever cool weapons or whatever exoskeletons or whatever that is that's going on over there, that is besides the point. Free will is important.
That's right. I mean, we're not even adults. We're going into it as children. We don't have a choice. We're pushed into it, sometimes sold into it by our own fucking parents. Excuse me in the language, but but the thing is these subjects that we're talking about, they're uncomfortable. We want them to be uncomfortable because they are uncomfortable, because people need to understand what their own governments, military agencies are doing. This is what they're doing with the money as well. They're pushing it into these projects to use your own children to go into these projects, and there's nothing good about it. There's nothing good, because these adults now, they've got PTSD, they're suicidal, they're getting targeted with these directed energy weapons and voice to skull technologies, and this technology exists. We're trying to prove that it exists, and we're trying to get those who have put us into these projects prosecuted. And the only way this is like to answer your question, Tom, you can't stop what they're doing with children, because these programs exist. And regardless how much a parent wants to protect their child, if that child is identified as being someone who will be trained, they will be trained. There's nothing what a parent can do about it, I'm afraid. The only thing I think is that we need to keep talking about it. We need to keep pushing and identifying those who are behind this and bringing it to wherever it needs to go, because that's the only positive step. Because abuse, those that abuse, they don't like the light shone upon them. They want to be hidden away so that abuse can continue. It's like, if somebody is abusing a child in a different way, and then they go to the adults and say, as an example, this person is a pillar of the community, they're not going to believe that child. So that abuser then is abusing that child again without touching them, because the child is doubted and the child is told that they're a liar or something like that, and if a child is coming to you and telling you something, at least give them the respect of listening to them, and looking more into it. But with these programs, these handlers, these programmers, they don't want to be identified in any way, shape, or form. If we can identify them, you see, this is what I was saying to you, Tom, before. What we should do is to use our those skilled in remote viewing to identify these monsters and to publicly, put them on show. You know, and this is one thing, they got their own remote viewers. We know this, but we got remote viewers as well, you know. And this is what I said to one of these, you know, one of these handlers that said it's me. I'll come into your bases with a team of remote viewers, and we'll take your fucking base apart, and we'll identify you. Even if we identify one of you, I'll identify you, I'll identify your family members, and I'll use psychological warfare tactics against you, and I'm not going to be nice about it.
Right.
You know, and that's what we need. We need to do that. We need to bring them out and show the world who these people are. You know, these programmers and handlers are very clever people, you know, but and they're very well protected. But you know, this is something that I'm looking at as a future project. You know, we can get into the bases with remote influencing, remote viewing, biolocating.
And like, how do they sleep at night? If they're, you know what I mean? How do they sleep at night? I'd imagine. I'm sorry, Michael. It's just the internet's, the timing's off, like always recently here. How do they sleep at night? You know what I mean? You're going home. You're going home after doing this, doing whatever it is that you're doing. I don't even want to go into the details. I can, like you said, it's not what I can imagine. It's what I can even able to imagine. How do they go to sleep at night? Unless they're imagined, some of them most likely are. How are they? Don't they have a conscience? Are they originally members of this, or are they not make them want to stand out because they have some skin in the game, or they feel that they're going to be harmed, or there must be someone above them as well? And if it's this demonic thing, then what do we do about that?
The handlers will often say this to you, and they will say it to those that are under the projects and in the programs, and they will say it to anyone if they were addressing you on this show now. They will tell you this: there is the God that you call God, or your creator God, is no more. They are the new gods now, and they don't have no time for this particular being, Jesus. They will tell you this. They are the new gods now. So if we were looking at it as an example, if we had the old gods, say like in the ancient world, you know, whoever you want to call them, and if you had, you know, even the demonic energies or the archangels, you know, they discount these now. We are the new gods. We are, you know, so they've been pushed aside. So this is what the handlers will often say, and the controllers. So and they said another thing that they say is, you know, we know that we're doing this now, and we, you know, if we do go to the next world, we will deal with that then. But whilst we're here, we're going to have fun doing what we're doing in these projects, and we're earning a lot of money from it and perks, and we don't care what happens to those children.
Right. That's a lot of that is actually referred to as the left-hand path to occultists.
And and exactly, and this is what their mentality is. They sleep fine. They're not interested in that. But you know, once we start getting their pictures up on the billboards, I think they'll be thinking a little bit more differently. You know, and then we'll see who is the gods.
Yeah, but I just don't know how that's going to come to pass. I mean, I'm sure you know, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to say the rest of it. And I'm sure there's some type of fear, of course, which is apparently evident in what you're talking about. But I guess we can keep doing this at this moment, and I don't know what that next step will be, but there has to be some type of turning of the tides, and I don't know what that would be.
You like your outfit today?
As of yet. That's why I guess I was asking.
I think there's always something positive to come out of all of this. You know, I mean, it's you know, we got to keep pushing, and you know, I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. You're not going to stop what you're doing. Jim's not going to stop what he's doing, and Daniel and so forth. You know, we just got to keep chipping away at it until we, you know, and we will have small successes.
Yeah. Sorry, I was Yeah, dude, we're gonna pick up the. I have you coming back on the end of next month. I think it's the 24th or something of that nature, dude. I
Sure.
know it sounds like we're ending abruptly, but it was just
No,
like
no.
I looked at the time. We're already an hour and a half in, man. It was it's always enlightening. I feel a slightly bit sadder, but at the same time, your resolve, your heart, your intentions, your love for humanity always shines through into me and what I see what you're doing. Because
Yeah, thank you.
I do have a little bit of PTSD myself. I do not know what complex is.
I
I'd
know.
have to actually look it up. Yeah, dude, it's my pleasure. You are a very special man, a very special person in my life, and I really appreciate that you came on and talked with me today. Jim, if you're there, do me a favor, man. If you have any final words you want to say, and please go ahead and promote your show again, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Final words. Well, uh, it's one of those things, man. There's so much to it, and there's just so many layers. It's like a never-ending onion when it comes to this particular subject. Once you think you got part of it handled,
Yeah.
all of a sudden the next layer peels back, and you start seeing all these tentacles going out and reaching through literally everything, even down to, I mean, the most minute things like what you eat every day, the chemicals used, the medication. Like there are so
Wow.
many overarching themes and things that stem from this that if the average person really knew, it would blow your mind, and the only thing I can really say, as far as like a PSA out there is, people just be observant. When you see things that don't look right, don't feel right, just say something to somebody, and do your part. And when you hear people that talk about this stuff and these subjects, don't automatically be like, oh, that's crazy, because that ain't helping nobody. And there's just so much trauma and so much craziness out there. you know Being there for people to say something and do something is amazing, whether that's saying, hey, I see this little girl with this older guy walking down the street. They look a little disheveled. I don't think it's his parents. I should probably report that. Yeah, you probably should. uh you know why is the Clinton
Good
Foundation
point.
going to Haiti? I don't think we should be funding that stuff. Speak out, speak with your votes, and be there to support the people that talk about this, and be as loving and as open as you possibly can, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense, man. That's a
Yeah.
great point. Like if you see things that don't fit, and I'll go ahead and before I let you go ahead and get up out of here, I'll say a little something, and then you go ahead and please you can also leave with some final comments as well. It always comes back to me is like you have to find a way to the way you want to be treated. The golden rule is the way you treat others. And if
Right.
you're in that situation, there's always you would if you're a small child or something like that, you're going to reach out to a trusted adult. So if you see that, like Jim's saying, go ahead and take into account, see what it is, and try to do something about it in a positive way. To put a little bit more of a different spin on it, slightly, is like go ahead and love thy neighbor.
Yeah.
It really means a lot. If we all did that, then we would all have each other's backs. It would be like if if you have five houses to your right and five houses to your left and three behind you, and you guys have a tight knit group, or the children are together, you guys go and you guys go on picnics together. You guys, I don't know, maybe you go to church together, whatever it may be. You create a small group of positive things for the children as well as the elders in the group. We need to get back to that where we like start listening to our elders and listening to what they have to say and learn from them and just open our hearts again, because we have been so trained to think a certain way. Like there's a reason why it's called television. There's a reason why it's called TV programming. All these things, we've been compromised for so long that we find it to be normal and natural. Get out into nature, love your neighbor, and do something positive for the world. I don't know what the slightest little thing could be so much for somebody else. Just saying hello to anybody. It could be a bum on the street. Just be like, hey man, how's it going today? Give him a bottle of water. It could be anything. Something like that would be something that would make the world. Don't look for from above. What I don't mean like as in God or what you believe in. I mean as in authority figures and the government so much, as well as in yourself and your local communities. I think that's what I would like to leave you with. Michael, go ahead, please.
I think it's just, like everything that you've both said, you and Jim, is this is one of the things that what they want to do. They want to break down the natural order of things that we've been used to. The communities. This is one of their key factors, isn't it? To break away the communities, and even and have us totally dependent on technology, and destroy all those values that have, in a way, created the human population. And they do this by creating these fears within us. But we need to
Yes,
come together to, in a way, to rally together to push these fears away. They rely on things like racism and to create being homophobic, and they want us to think that we're different from each other, when in fact we're actually very similar to one another. And this is what they want to
very.
do: divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. And this is psychological warfare at its best. But if we refuse to go along with these suggestions that they push into society, we'll have a better way of dealing with them.
Right.
Yeah, man. Just so much to unpack here. Jim, go ahead and plug your show one more time, buddy. And thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I enjoy hanging out with you guys. So it's Fisher Spams, The Night's Watch. You can find me on the YouTubes, the Rumbles, the Spotify's, Facebook groups, social media and stuff. So come hang out. Sometimes I'm a kind of a cool dude, and we have neat
most of the
conversations
time,
and
dude.
such.
Not sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Michael, please go ahead and one more time plug your book and let the people out there know where they can find you. If there's somebody in the weeds about this, if somebody's having these experiences, that there's a place they can reach out and not feel so alone.
Yeah, my book is High Strangeness: A Lifetime of Alien and Paranormal Encounters. It's available on Amazon at the moment. It is available in some bookshops as well, I believe. And at the moment, I am actually looking at some point, maybe in the future, creating my own podcast. And also,
that'd be cool.
I'm also starting to create. I'm going to try and create a YouTube platform. These are things upcoming, and also I want to do a lot more with things like TikTok and that, talking about these experiences, and there'll be a lot more people then that other people can reach out to on there, with people that I'm able to recommend on those sites within these particular projects that would be beneficial for people that are interested to look at.
Very cool, man. This has been great. Yeah, definitely, dude. So whenever you get that up and running, do not be afraid to post it on my page. I'm sure Jim's open to it. I'm definitely sure Magical is my Magical. My buddy our buddy Daniel. Yeah, just go ahead and get it up there. That way we can get your name out there and we can spread this word any way we possibly can. Yeah, man, it's been wonderful. Thank you so much, man, and have yourself try to get some sleep. Sandra, I will see you tomorrow, lovely lady.
Jim, as well.
If I slip into some German, it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have Sandra on too, guys. So she's reached out to me, and we have another like-minded individual who's gonna get some more of this out there. We're gonna get into some of her thoughts on this as well. Thank you all. Thank both of you all so much. Thanks, Michael. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
All right. So that was Fisher of Spam, Jim Powell, and my buddy Michael Cameron. Once again, go out there, get that book, look into it. Everything they said was it was a lot of it. It was quite hard for me, kind of difficult for me to grasp a lot of this. It's a lot. It's a lot, guys. It's always a lot. But he's really good at what he does because of the way he's had a lot of practice in talking, and every time he comes on, I understand a little bit more of it. It's a lot for me to understand because I don't know about it. It's just like, I guess it would be me trying to explain guitar to somebody who's never picked up one before, and patterns and certain chords and melody and rhythm and things like that, and trying to explain it to somebody. So give it time to sink in. If you have to, maybe go back through to the episode, or you can go back through and listen to a couple other episodes of Michael, and maybe you get a couple more answers. Even I'm going to have to go back through again today because I'm over here running my wonderful chats. We're awesome today over in the chat. I appreciate it so very much. If you keep coming back to the channel, please do me a favor, like and subscribe, hit the bell notifications, leave a message, leave a comment, anything you can help me help Michael and other guests get their message out, their experience. Franks, thanks for coming on today. Thank you, Barb Hartman. Thank you, Tim from the Ohio Bigfoot Researchers. Thank you, his wife Renee. Thank you so very much. You guys have been incredible, and I appreciate it very much. And remember, we are the eye. We are aware.